We all want to be remarkable.
Your business demands it. Our communities crave it.
You know you're on the right trajectory when opportunities launch you into unexpected directions you never thought possible. Join me, Kate Volman,
and fellow marketing strategist Kyle Sexton every week as we explore ideas you're not considering.
Share stories from others like you who despise mediocrity, and discover how whatever you're building has the power to
change your business,
change your community,
change your trajectory. One of my favorite things, Kate Volman, is to give people the gift of time.
Oh, yes.
Give them the gift of time. So, ending a meeting early is a good thing. It's a good thing, but it's about mindset, right? You can, if you, what does it say? If you, business will take up as much time as you allow for it. And so I hear this a lot from teams that I work with, where they say, "Oh, we just don't have enough time." Well, I'm not trying to add more work, but I am trying to find different work. So that means there's some things that we do that we maybe should get rid of.
Yes. And that's Parkinson's law. You know who taught me Parkinson's law says that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion.
Oh.
I learned that from Jeremy Pound, our friend.
Jeremy Pound? Oh, juicy results. And the Juicy Bits show, Jeremy Pound.
But I learned that from him because we were working a few years ago on a marketing course, and he talked about deadlines, how we had to give ourselves deadlines in order for us to get this stuff, in order to ship it, in order to get it out. And he said, otherwise, you're just going to keep working on it and working on it and working on it, and it's never going to get shipped. And so then he described this Parkinson's law to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. If we give ourselves a deadline, it's almost like when people say, if you want something done, you give it to a busy person.
My dad always used to tell me that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you get it done. When you have a deadline, when you know you have to do something, you do it, you move on. You do it, you move on.
And you get it done right away.
That's right.
You get it done right away. Or you outsource it.
Hey, either way, you're getting it done.
That's right. Do what you do best and outsource the rest.
Yes.
So I happen to know that you do a workshop, Kate Volman, called Inspired Action. And you give out some resources and some exercises in that workshop, don't you?
I do. I do. And the whole workshop.
What would you encourage me to quit?
I feel like I learned that from someone. The workshop is around taking just one of the many goals that you have and creating a SMART goal. So making that one goal specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And
SMART. So it's an acronym, right?
Yes. SMART.
SMART stands for shared, measure. You can share it.
Specific.
So you're sharing. It's shared or specific?
Specific. SMART. The first is specific. So the goal is specific.
Yeah, and then measurable. So how are we going to? It has to have some numbers that we can measure, or something that we can measure, right?
Yep.
And then the A is what?
Specific, measurable, attainable.
Attainable. You got to be able to do it. It's got to be possible.
Yep. Realistic. And time bound.
And realistic within your constraints, right? Within the other things that you have going on. It's not so attainable and realistic are different, right? It's not just that realistic means it's realistically possible. It just means it's realistic within your other constraints.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like just if you use the example of when people say, oh, what's your goal for next year? And they say, I want to build my business. Everyone just says, I'm going to build my business. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like?
That's not gonna fly here on the Trajectory podcast, Kate.
That is
It's not
not.
gonna fly. We're gonna make a proclamation. All goals from now on need to be SMART goals.
Yes.
Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time phased or time bound.
Time bound, yeah. So you have to put numbers.
I've always used time phased.
Time phased, time bound, you have to give it a time that you're going to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So that this way, instead of building a business, you can say, I want to increase my revenue by $5,000 a month. And I'm going to do that by X amount of time. Mm-hmm. Only when you have those numbers in place can you decide, oh, what do I need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly activity, or on daily, weekly, monthly and activities. No, my daily, weekly, and monthly activities that I need to do in order to reach that goal. So that's what the workshop is about. And there's a piece of that workshop where I like to give people the gift of time, as you say, and we list out where there's probably wasting time, because we all waste time on social media or checking our emails or looking up something on YouTube, and all of a sudden you've been on there for 3 hours.
Well, yes, social media gets a lot of crap for being the big time suck, right? But there's that saying, I think it was John Lennon actually said, time you enjoy wasting was not wasted.
Okay. But do you love being on social media? I get that if you're like wasted time of just.
No, nobody loves being on social media, but they love whatever it is that they love and that they find there. Cat videos. People just love cat videos. I was watching the DIY Network this weekend. And one of my favorite episodes of, I don't know what it was show I was watching, Building Off the Grid. Fascinating show, challenging building constraints. One of my favorite episodes was just the episode that had dogs in it. Like, I just loved the dogs. It was totally of no consequence to the actual content. And you can say, you could look at my lazy butt on the couch, as you could say, he's wasting time. He's wasting time that he could be doing planning for the next Trajectory podcast. He's wasting time. But it's downtime for me. we need downtime. So when you plan on your downtime, when you describe what you're going to do on your downtime, to outsiders it might look like you're wasting time. So yeah, social media, when you're supposed to be doing something else, getting sucked into Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, it's a time waster if you allow it to be. In the 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss suggests that you schedule in your emails. You schedule them in around 11 o'clock and around 4:30. There's 2 particular times a day. And he even says, set an autoresponder in your email box to tell people when you check emails.
Yes.
So I did that. And I also had a boss. And so he didn't really say, if you have a boss, this is not a good idea. But I found out that my boss didn't particularly appreciate it when he sent me things that needed to be done. And he got back an autoresponder that said, I'm a busy person and I will get back to you at 11 or 4:30. And he said, oh, no, you won't.
Oh my gosh. Did he come down to your office?
It wasn't really a march or a huff. But it was so tell me about your autoresponder system. that isn't going to work for me. But it was an effort to manage. I was trying to make an effort to manage expectations differently.
Yeah.
And I think you need to consider your different audiences when you're doing that. Internal and external are different. And thanks to technology, we can now create different rules.
Absolutely. Well, and then there's also a lot of teams that use things like Slack. They're getting, they have a different way of communicating with the internal teams versus external conversations. And so, but yeah, for the purpose of this, when we talk about time, it really is time that you're supposed to be spending being productive, getting the work done. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that Tim Ferriss tip, because I have that exact example in that worksheet, because after I read that, I thought that's a really good idea, especially because, and we've talked about this many times on Trajectory, when we make other people's priorities our priorities. And when we get an email from someone, I think so many of us feel that sense of urgency of getting back to them. We want to get back to them really, really quickly, versus I'm not going to check my email every second and respond right away. And then you just train people. Like, you train people how you want to be treated, essentially. And so if people know that you're not always by your computer, you're not always getting back to somebody, they're going to expect that. And that's okay. It's not a bad business decision to do that. I mean, you're going to give them the answer. I mean, if they are in an if it's really an emergency, which really, who is it really an emergency? Like, how many of those emails are emergencies? They'll find out how to get in touch with you if they really need you. Like I do to some people. If I need to get them, I'll email them, I'll call them, I'll text them, I'll tweet them.
You'll keep texting them. Yeah, I noticed.
Hey, you said I was bad at text. You're the worst.
No, I read all of them.
You just don't like to respond to them.
Oh, if there's a question, I'll answer any question.
Oh, you're right. Sometimes I just write you something and I assume you're going to respond back with something witty.
No, I read all of my text messages. And yeah, I know that it frustrates some people, but if someone's just sharing information with me, I don't particularly feel the need to reply.
See, look at this. I'm learning something new about your communication. I never realized that I wasn't actually asking you questions.
Yeah. So if somebody asks me a question like, Kyle, will you be showing up for our scheduled appointment? That's a question that I can look and go, yes. And, oh, am I running late? That's also a question. But I think but if you got to look at what your job is. What's your role? Is my role to respond to people's emails, to other people? And an inbox is a way to organize other people's priorities. And I think if you set your day out putting other people's priorities ahead of your own, I think you've limited your trajectory. And when I was looking at my own trajectory back when I had a job, I was looking at, what am I going to be? Am I going to be the technician? Or am I going to help people find their value? Am I going to be the person that builds websites and arranges details, and it turns out that I'm not as good about details as I thought I was, or that I want to be? Or am I going to be the person in the front of the parade making a mess? Am I going to be am I going to be cleaning up somebody else's mess in my life, in my career? Or am I going to be the person that's creating value, making the mess, and bring other people along to clean up the mess? People who, by the way, are really good at it. People who are really good at collecting the details and organizing them, and they love it. And bless their heart, they love it. And maybe they're better at it than I am. I bet you they are. How many hours are in your day, Kate?
How many hours are in my day? I work. What do you mean by my work day?
No, how many hours are in your day? I'm just looking for a number.
I know.
Do you think this is a trick question?
Yes.
Why would I do that? That's so unlike me.
What? That is your MO, and that's what you do.
There are only 26 hours in a day.
26?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get those extra two?
Well, many studies are showing that the average person wastes about a couple hours a day. So there's 26 hours a day. You wasted. So if you want to get your time back, quit wasting time.
What?
Yeah. It's only 26 hours a day.
Guess what, everyone? Breaking news. This just in. There are 26 hours.
I found 2 more hours for you. Turns out you've been wasting it. And it's not from social media, Kate. It's just from inefficiency.
Yeah. Well, so being on social media and doing those things is you're not being efficient.
Yeah.
Or things like, ooh, this is my favorite. So when I used to work for someone else, I didn't really think about it so much because I was getting a paycheck either way. And I would take meetings with everyone who wanted a meeting because everyone wants to meet. Everyone wants to grab coffee, grab lunch.
You're very popular, Kate. We've established that.
I mean, everybody. No, no, but I find that so many business people, they just call, let's grab coffee, let's grab lunch with no agenda in mind. Just, hey, I want to just get together. And so when I worked for someone else, great. Plus I worked in the chamber business. So there's a lot of businesses to tend to. So I just remember I was going to breakfast meetings, lunches, networking events, dinners. It was ridiculous. And how many of those actually turned into, I mean, those are all great relationship building things. Of course, I'm not going to say that they're not. But when you go into business for yourself, you have to do things a lot differently. Your time.
Yeah. I got a new mantra.
Is so valuable.
I acquired a new mantra when I went into business for myself about those demands of demands from other people of my time. And are you ready for my mantra?
Ready.
No agenda, no attenda.
Yes.
You got no agenda for this meeting? I am not showing up. I am not going to be there. Nope. No. Y'all can go to that meeting, do that thing. And if you come up with an agenda for the next meeting, you can send me an invitation. I'll probably turn that one down too. But no agenda, no attenda. Tell me what you want from me, and I will tell you if this is an in-person meeting or if it's a phone call or if it's a Zoom.
Yes.
Zoom.us meeting. I love Zoom. Zoom meetings are great. I have coffee with people virtually all the time.
I do too. It's the best.
Or virtual coffee. Would you like
virtual coffee?
Would you like a cup of virtual coffee? I'll wait while you go get yourself one. Oh,
I have my water. Ooh, they match.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
Cheers. But yeah, I agree. You have to, when people want to meet just for the sake of meeting, like, what is it for? And I find, like, so for me, I get a lot of people that want to talk to me about marketing. They say, let's meet. I want to see if you can help me. And I'm like, great. Like, I'm happy to take a phone call. Like, tell me what it is that you need. And I have them write out a little, this is what I'm looking for. And sometimes it's so simple because I know what they're looking for, and I send them to one of my partners or my agency partners, or I will say, yeah, let's totally get on the phone. I'm happy to get on the phone, schedule a call, and it's usually a 10-minute conversation. And I'm like, oh, so happy we had this call. I know exactly who you need to work with, and I'll send them over. Or it's, oh, I actually do think that this might be a good fit. So let's, schedule some more time, and whether that is an in-person meeting in my office. And what I love to do walk and talks. Walk and talk meetings are my favorite because
this is a new one for me. Tell me about a walk and talk meeting.
Walk and talk is, so I work in the co-working space I work out of is downtown. And so I'll tell people, come meet me downtown and we'll go for a walk. I have a little path that I like to take people around. So I get to we get to walk around the community. We're outside. It's beautiful usually. I like to joke when people ask me, oh, what's the weather down there?
Yeah,
75 and sunny.
75 and sunny? Oh, man.
Because it's Delray Beach. Yeah. And so, we do a walk and talk. And so it just has a different energy. And so a lot of times I've taken people on a walk and talk, they're like, this was really cool. I'm going to do this with my clients. I'm like, oh yeah, like why meet in an office or just grab coffee, just walk around and know what we're going to talk about, know what the end result is going to be. Like, what are we trying to accomplish during this walk and talk? And it also, I kind of know my path and how long it takes. So it's that time limit too, because I always start with, okay, like we talked about, I have 30 minutes. You still good with 30 minutes? Awesome. Let's do our little walk and then we're good. This way, I like to get that up front too. Otherwise, you're going to have a meeting with no agenda, no time frame, and it ends up going for like an hour and a half or something, and you got nothing accomplished. Oh my gosh, that irritates me so much.
No agenda, no attenda. Fortune magazine says we're wasting 8 hours per work week. And a survey from Office Team, which is a staffing firm, found that the average office employee spends 56 minutes a day using their cell phone at work for non-work activities. And many of them, more than half of the surveyed employees, said they used their phones to access websites that were blocked by the company's IT department.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that interesting? So I wonder how many insurance companies and banks were part of this survey, because in the work that I do, I encounter a lot of insurance companies, financial planners, stockbrokers, bankers, etc. And a lot of their networks are blocking certain content that they've paid to receive in some cases, which is an interesting conundrum. They can't get on these sites.
Yeah.
The brands of these companies are, by the way, actively marketing on these platforms that are blocked. And so the company has acknowledged the value of these social networks and other places, other sites that are blocked, because they're referenced as, the non-essential work activity. But if you're a banker and you're about to have a meeting with a client, don't you want to refresh your own understanding of what's going on in their life? Don't you want to check them on Facebook, and don't you want to see what they've been posting on YouTube lately about their life or their business, or what they're working on in their business? I don't think it doesn't make a ton of sense to me to block all these networks and sites for everybody in these companies, because they're just going to go look at from their phone anyway.
It all goes back to, what are you trying to accomplish? I feel like it's easy for us to get lost or waste time when we're not focused on what we're trying to accomplish. And so
I'm a sucker for this one thing. You want to know what it is?
Tell me. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Hey, Kyle, can we have coffee? I want to pick your brain.
Oh,
why am I such a sucker for that one? I'm like, I love coffee.
And you love strategizing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's your thing.
I'm in the Northwest, and we love to have coffee. We love to meet for coffee, meet for breakfast. Can I pick your brain? Yeah, actually, people pay to pick my brain. That's the work I do. I'm a consultant. But yeah, if you want to have coffee, I'll just, it'll be a social affair, and we'll. By the way, I don't, if you are if you're a janitor, I don't ask you to come clean my house for free.
Hey, you want to go hang out at my house and clean it?
I'm not entirely transactional, though. I'm not all about the money. At all. I'm about giving value before the transaction, and I'm about helping people. So yeah. I don't mind wasting that time. To me, that's not wasted time. It's time that I actually enjoy wasting. So according to John Lennon, it's not wasted time.
But I'm not saying I don't want people thinking that I don't want to spend time with people. It's a matter of, you can't do that with everyone, right? I'm just saying, if you meet someone at a networking event and all of a sudden they're just calling you, because that's what people do. It's just the tendency of, we met, now let's go have coffee. Of course I spend time with people. Of course I still go out to lunch and coffee, just not as much as I used to, and not with everybody. Because for some people, I think I can provide more value to by not wasting their time. If I know that I can put them in touch with the right person versus explaining to me with it over an hour, just totally explaining what it is that they're looking for, when I can when I can hear them for 10 minutes and go, I got your solution. I know who you need to talk to. And some of those people, they actually do turn into friends of mine, but I don't have to do business with them. So I'm not saying there's nothing black or white in the conversation of, I'm not saying everyone, you know what, block your calendar, no more lunches, no more coffees, just shut down people. That is not the case. But I think that we can be a little bit more strategic in who we decide.
Kate, what can people do to get their time back?
So that's what I always recommend, is figuring out what is begin with the end in mind. It's the second habit in Steven Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. What are you trying to accomplish? And figuring out what are the things that you need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly, all those daily activities that you have to do. And once you're done with those, I feel like, this made such an impact in me when I had a business and we merged, and I was doing a lot more sales and versus some of the actual doing the work. And I was so frustrated because I was constantly doing, having meetings, going to meetings, having calls, doing all this stuff. And I felt like it was never ending. So when I finally put together a plan and I said, okay, how many appointments do I have to have every week in order to schedule, or how many people do I need to call or meet with in order to schedule an actual sit down presentation? How many of those would it take for me to close business? So when I had my goal in mind of every month I wanted to reach, $10,000 or whatever it was, having those daily and weekly activities were so helpful, because then I didn't feel bad about going to a networking event or taking a little bit of time, quote unquote, wasting some time. That to me was just relationship building and things that I was going to do to help grow my business. But I think everyone can really spend a little bit more time on the overall goal that they're trying to accomplish. That's why making it a SMART goal, setting those activity goals, the daily, weekly, and monthly things that you have to do in order to achieve that goal. And then the other stuff is just kind of bonus. It's just bonus the different people that you meet. And so when we do those things, I feel like what happened to me was I had an Excel spreadsheet and I checked off those boxes. Like, okay, I made this amount of calls. I sent out these handwritten notes to my dream clients. When I was done with all that stuff, I was like, these are things that are going to move the needle forward. I didn't even want to jump on social media or do these other activities until I know I had those things checked off, so that by the time Friday rolled around at 5:00, I was like, I accomplished a lot. Even if I didn't even get a sale that week, I knew that everything that I had done that week was going to help me make that sale and more the week after. So I really feel like that is something that people can figure out right now, is what's that SMART goal? And then what are those activity goals that you need to do? And then it'll just be easier for you to avoid those distractions. Even with email, avoiding the email distraction. Like, I don't jump on my email right away in the morning, because if I do, I'm going to get that anxious feeling of I have to respond to them, versus the work that I know I'm meant to do in the morning, which is more of my creative work. So setting yourself up for success, like we already kind of talked about. So that's my little rant.
I love it. I like to use on my new Google, when I pull up a new tab on Google Chrome, I have an app called Get Momentum, and it says, "Good morning, Kyle. What is your main focus for today?" And when you fill that out, it reminds you for the rest of the day what you put in there. And I recently discovered FocusMe, which is an app that helps you to stop wasting time on distractions. It's a very powerful app and a website blocker to help you focus your time in certain increments. You can set it for a certain amount of time, and it will black out your screen and block all distractions. And it's got a lot of press, and you've probably heard about FocusMe as an app, as a tool. But I think, if you're having trouble focusing on what you're supposed to be doing, maybe a little technology. If technology is the problem, maybe you can use a little technology to help you to focus a little bit as well. So check out.
I like that.
Check out some things like Get Momentum on Chrome, and to help constantly remind you when you come into the day, what's your focus for today, and make it your own. It needs to be your own focus, not someone else's focus.
Yes.
And part 2 of that is, if you need a little technology to help you block out some of those distractions, use something helpful like FocusMe. And it's available on Mac and PC. Go check it out, focusme.com. Pretty simple.
Check it out. This Trajectory podcast sponsored by.
Yeah. You just never know what happens, Kate Bowman. You just might, when you get focused, you just might get trajectory.
Hey, thanks for listening. If we could, we'd reach over and give you a big hug. But since we can't, before you go, can we ask you a favor? In order for us to create shows you can't wait to listen to, we need your feedback. So please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. It'll only take a minute, but it will mean the world to us, especially if you decide to give us 5 stars. And if you really loved it, take a screenshot, share it on your favorite social media sites, and invite your friends to join the party. Until next time, get trajected. Oh my gosh. If you are listening and you don't know that we actually record this using video, you need to check it out, because the faces that are being made right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, and they just keep on coming. You know what's funny? When you are listening to a podcast or on the radio, you hear someone's voice and you picture them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you see them in person or you see their picture and you're like, no, not what I expected.
I love that scene in Wayne's World where, and I know you know Wayne's World by heart, where they're going to the radio station to promote Wayne's World 2, actually, where they're going to the radio station to promote their big concert they're throwing. And they're going to go meet Handsome Dan on the radio. And this guy comes out of the booth of the recording studio and they go, "Hey, Handsome Dan." And "I'm not Handsome Dan." And they go in and it's this little tiny person. And anyway, "Hey, I'm Handsome Dan." And "Oh, hi, Handsome Dan." Not at all what you expect. I always, when I hear a man's voice on a radio or television without seeing them in person, I always try to imagine, are they clean shaven or not? I don't know why. But some of the I always, it's weird. I'm
I don't know.
This guy definitely has a big old bushy mustache.
And how often are you right?
I actually don't check because I don't like to be wrong. I don't play games I can't win.
Oh boy.
It's of no consequence if I'm right or wrong.
There we go.
I waste my time. Kate, you got to run.
All right, I do.
Gift of time.
Did we do it? Did you? Are you giving me the gift of time? Yes.
Gift of time.
I appreciate that.